Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGLNA Gold League Season 2. I am your host, Quinn Sharrow, and to my left, David Williams. If you haven't done so already, head on over to Facebook and YouTube /WGLNA, or you can follow us on Twitter @WGLNA to make sure you stay in touch with the tanking community around you, as well as be up to date on everything that's going on.
You can also answer the question of the day, which is, who do you think will earn the most fantasy points tonight? I genuinely have no idea at this point. It's been a long night.
I have to say that I'm pretty clueless on that. I mean, we could speculate, and we can go, and even though we've gone to stats, you know, we've had some cap points, we've had some amazing plays.
Either way, what matters is what you think.
Yeah.
So go ahead and tell us on Twitter.
Tell us. I want to know. All right. But looks like both of our teams are ready for the last and final match. But let's get to the face-off.
For Googlybobbers, we will have Sovereign Zool. And for Ping999, we will have Shimbo.
How's it going, guys?
Hi there.
Hello.
All right.
Lower your audio, por favor.
Now you listen to me.
All right.
All right.
Let's go ahead and start off with Sovereign Zool.
Hello.
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 I've never actually held a conversation with a horse before.
Yes, this is a first. A horse is a horse. Of course. But the question to you is, have you had to change your strategy much for moving to this new format?
Everything's changed in our team. We have so many new members of the team. We're back in Gold League. Tier 10. Everything's changed.
All righty then. How do you guys like this new format as opposed to
I
some
love
of
the
the old
Tier
ones we've
10, honestly. I kind of miss my IS3, but
Yeah.
Tier 10 is where it's at.
Yeah,
Right.
I would miss my IS3 too. But the IS7 is baller these days, so no big deal.
Yep.
All right, Shimbo, do you have anything that you want to say to your opponent?
We only want to play a good game and have fun.
All right.
All right.
And your response?
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. All right.
I
Cheers.
figured you would say, hey.
Hey is for horses. Oh, hey.
Yeah. All right. Adios.
All right. Best of luck to you guys. We will see you shortly. All right. So, you know, we have another team. Yet, just, you know, we haven't seen them play this season. And
all right, so when it gets into Ping999 versus Googlybobbers
Right.
here, it looks like we're going to start off on Himmelsdorf, and it will be Ping999 on offense first. Googlybobbers getting their first map on defense. But as we've discussed a couple times, they switch back and forth, so it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. Before, you know, it honestly made me feel bad for some of the people that I had to play. And it seemed like some of them didn't really do the map picking super well, or they cared more about maps than they did about roles. So they would kind of put themselves in a box. So they play against other teams that didn't care as much about maps and cared more about roles.
Right.
And what this would turn into is a team would be down like 4-0, and then they would be starting off the next map, and they're on offense.
So
it's like, oh, rough times.
would an example of that be like a team focusing on, okay, your role is Artie, and your role is to land shots on every map?
Oh, no. I'm talking about role for the team. We'll get back to that.
Okay.
While we've got a moment, since both of these teams are somewhat new, at least to the league, let's check out their rosters.
Absolutely. Now, any of these guys stand out that you can remember from the qualifiers?
From the qualifiers, that's an interesting question. So Shimbo and Taco Soldier are two standout players for Ping999, in my opinion. And then if we get into GoBobs, we didn't see them play in the qualifiers, but they've got a lot of people that we're very accustomed to at this point. We've seen Valkyrie Viewus and Tuxzilla in the past. We've got Zombie Food and Sovereign Zool are two players who've been on GoBobs for a long time.
Okay.
That's kind of their nickname if you don't know that, GoBobs, Googlybobbers. And if you're kind of confused about who they were, at one point in time, they were known as Noble, before Noble was. So I believe that was Season 5. The season before last season, they were Noble. Then they quit, and Noble took over Cunningham's. Kind of confusing? That's all right. It doesn't matter because the Googlybobbers now, and that's all that you need to know. But they've been playing since, I believe, Season 2. And all the way through Season 4, Season 5, something like that. So they've been around.
All right. Well, it looks like we are ready to head down and see what we have for our tanks. Who will be the first one to pick up a victory in this battle? Ping999 or the Googlybobbers?
We'll find out any moment now. Ping999 Ping999 on offense with a 50B, 2 FE215Bs, 2 IS4s, an IS7, and an AMX 1390. Googlybobbers with an IS4, 2 IS7s, 2 E5s, a Batchat, and an AMX 1390. That is super interesting to me. A Batchat on this map is an interesting pick.
Now, what do you think? What is the best scenario to use a Batchat on this map?
That would be the flankerino. So if you can get him all the way up the 0 line, say we have that kind of thing we've seen a lot of the time in the 2 cap, the kind of standoff situation.
Right.
Where
Where they push
coming
down
off
the
the
A?
hill would be catastrophic. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It would be huge. It'd be huge. Actually, when we were kind of talking about this stuff yesterday.
Okay.
You asked, why don't more tanks come down the 0 line? And for our viewers, he already knows those kinds of things. But you weren't there for that. But anyways. You're asking why more tanks don't come down the 0 line, and it has something to do with speed and that kind of thing. And the Batchat is an answer to that. But in the event that a team went to the 1 cap, the Batchat could also come down the 8 line, and it's just a tank that you cannot ignore. Now, it isn't a heavy, and on Himmelsdorf, not having heavies can be a problem. But I've always felt like in the later formats, especially since attack and defense in particular, not all the way back to like Season 4 and before that, but Season 5, 6, or Season 5, and then the new Season 1 and Season 2, I've always felt like there's a little bit of room for a medium or a light tank on defense to kind of contain those kinds of movements. So I'm interested to see if Zombie Food's able to make it work. He's traditionally a great player. I've met him several times before. He's a great guy. Valkyrie View Us, we know from several seasons in the past. He typically was a 5100 driver. We know him. He puts up a lot of points a lot of the time. So he was a great pick. I think I picked him for fantasy today. Again, I mean, it's been a crazy day. So many good matches that I have totally even forgot who I picked for fantasy. And Sheep and Aldebaran. Actually, Sheep is another standout player for Ping999. I didn't mention that earlier. They're all trying to pick up Valkyrie View Us where he is. Now, he's hard to kill.
Tucked in behind that berm.
Yeah, we've talked about that plenty of times. But right now, Ping is kind of shut down by VLM's 1390. They don't really know where they can go from here, it looks like. They're kind of shopping around a bunch of different areas. They're going to spend a lot of time bringing those 2 FE215Bs up and over the hill. I don't know if that's going to be enough, because Googlybobbers will be able to see that they're going there, or they'll be able to isolate this IS4 and IS7 and make it worth. But in the meantime, you can check out Valkyrie Views' position here. It's very difficult to do damage to him where he is. Now, he's actually in a position where he can do damage more often. He's a little bit broadside, so if there's somebody on hill, they could actually shoot him, I wouldn't say easily, but they'd be more likely to do damage from here. Now, I'd be interested to see if these 2 F-15Bs, Shimbo and Mufasa, would be able to pull up next to the castle and start raining down damage on him, as they do have high DPM, so they would be able to get a lot of the shots in, but it doesn't look like that's their priority. It looks like
Zombie Food's actually going to be coming up the K road.
My body is ready for this Zombie Food. Do some magic. I don't even have like a particular team that I care about winning in this moment. All I care about is this Batchat. I want to see this thing do work. I want it to be a thing. I want it to be possible. Be a nice curveball, a nice mix-up in the meta of Himmelsdorf, and create a nice new fresh game for all of us here. And I think it is viable. I'm not sure the Batchat is in particular, but if it is, man, it will be a thing to behold. Varel, the team captain for Go Bobs, I believe, in the windows himself. Kind of common to see captains often put themselves in one of 2 positions. The one that gives them the most time to think, which is where Viral is right now, or the one that does the most spotting or is somewhat expendable tank, like we see J-Smooth do with a tier 8.
Right.
So just different flavors for different teams, different captains. I myself was always more of a scout. It's kind of like that. I like to be in control of the eyes, but nearly 1,100 damage going out on VLM. He will go down relatively soon, and unfortunately, Go Bobs, they are not getting enough damage here on Aldebaran for taking out VLM. So that is essentially a wasted tank. That IS-4 must be difficult to penetrate. There we go, 388. None of that really extending a whole lot more. So that is, I consider that a failed attempt right then and there. That is a tier 8 gone. And fortunately for Googlybobbers, they're starting to lose even more territory. Zombie Food in a place where he needs to be a heavy. He needs to get that medium around into a place where it will matter. Fluky covering Taco Soldiers 1390 as Viral, trying to get some shots into those resets. Now, if you're, well, we have a moment because it will kick off any minute here. If you're wondering, wait, I thought Taco Soldier's name was Tavo Soldier. Nope, 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 nope. because when we called him Taco Soldier in the qualifiers, he loved it and he changed his name to Taco Soldier. So I'm not even joking. His name is Taco Soldier now, and it's amazing. He's in a 1390 hidden behind that IS-4. He's going to be building cap points. 15 seconds left on this cap. And IS-7's Valkyrie and Luck are going to come down the D-line and try and stop this from happening.
All right. And the Googlybobbers are starting to push into where they will be defending, getting another reset on Fluky. And Ping999 has both sides. They have the 1 and 3 line. And looks like Toy Soldier is continuing to get some cap points. Shimbo is also peeking around this corner. Destruction Mang has 1 hit left. Will they be able to pick him up? Fluky is low as well. Vero may be picking him up. Tesla stepping in front of Destruction Mag, getting 417 points on Shimbo. And there it is, Fluky getting the last shot on Destruction Mag. 7 Tesla taking a fair amount of damage, 800. Vero picking up the final shot on Fluky. 10 seconds left on the clock. There's only a little over 2 minutes left in this match. They're going to have to get a reset on Taco Soldier. Will they be able to get that reset? Oh, there's 1 reset. 7 Tesla and Mufasa are going at it, and Tesla falls to Mufasa. Vero moving up to get a shot on Taco Soldier, while Mufasa is also in the cap. 2, 1, 0.
Ping999 pulls it out. That's incredible. I thought GoBobbers was going to have that completely. This match almost being extended by that damage a little bit there, but that was incredible. Googlybobbers not managing the cap as well as they could have. They're winning a fight, but that's not everything you need to do in this game.
That was actually an incredibly amazing thing to watch. Like, the strategies that I saw in this one were different from the ones we saw earlier on Himmelsdorf, because I was like, oh, their tanks are all spread out across the map.
Yeah.
And then they took those 2 over here, and you're like, oh, let's see if this works out. And they had enough time, and I don't think Zombie was able to use that chat as much as we were hoping.
No, actually, the I would consider it weird way that Ping was moving around the map actually shut down Zombie and didn't let him get that flanker, give him the free reign that he was looking for. Now, against a more standard strategy, against the way that people play it most of the time,
Right.
Zombie probably would have been able to find an angle. So I'm not sure if I'm 100% behind what Ping was doing there, but it obviously worked for them in that instance, and it threw Googlybobbers for a loop. So I'd be surprised to see them bring that bat chat back again on their next attempt, which will be the game after this one. So should be any second now. Or before we get that next match going off here. So early match for Googlybobbers. Not really getting enough damage for that 1390 they threw away, and I think that was the biggest problem they had overall.
Like you were actually telling me the other day. A lot of times, it's if you lose a tank early on, it instantly becomes and it becomes a 7-on-6 battle.
Yeah,
you're like, okay, now we have to find 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 points of damage on the enemy team just to make it even again.
Yeah, so on Himmelsdorf in this particular situation, that's one of the more clear ones. So if they were to pick up that 1390. In my opinion, it's pretty much game right there. You go force that fight in the north, and then you have a free tank to swing around. You just do, because one's missing, right?
Right.
So they either have to peel somebody off to deal with it. Either way, it's missing a gun from the main fight. The thing is, how much HP are you willing to lose to get that tank out? And in this instance, they didn't lose it. They lost, what, like 388? So that's well worth. I'll take a shot or 2 any day to kill a tank. And it's a hard call to make. There's no solid answer for it, but it depends. The 1390 is a big risk in this instance.
Okay. All right. Well, Ping999 ended up taking the first victory on Himmelsdorf in match 4. Let's go ahead and head back down to the match and see what we have for our tanks.
Ping999 in a 50B, an E100 FE215B, 2 IS4s, and 2 ST1s for Googlybobbers, an IS4, 2 IS7s, 2 E5s, a Bat Chat, and an RU251. So, Ping is actually electing to go with a double 9 setup on Himmelsdorf here, and I like it a lot. I can see some use for a tier 8 for the flanks and all that, but honestly, I don't have a whole lot of experience at 9 and 10 since the ST1 came out. And it is a very difficult tank to penetrate, even if you know what to do. It's just got crazy armor, and its hull down is legendary. It's incredible. That is just a tank that if I were to bring 2 of them to Himmelsdorf, there is a lot of things you can do with that. And I really like that lineup. It depends. You kind of got to flesh it out a little bit more, or I would, in order to be more comfortable with it. Kind of think about, in the beginning it seems like a good idea, but then where do you put them, and is that easy to get, and do they have a cost later? You need that rotation, something along those lines. I'm not going to get into all the crazy details of how you build a strategy and all the things you have to worry about. But all I'm saying is, at first glance, 2 ST1s would scare me on offense. I would not want to have to go against those things. Perhaps somebody out there can hit me up with a tweet and tell me maybe there's a weak spot on the front of an ST1 that makes my entire opinion on this wrong.
But speaking of the ST1, Aldebaran is over on the 1 line. Now, is him being there, does that completely shut down that unless they come in force?
It doesn't completely shut it down, but it makes it take a very long time. So that if Googlybobbers were to go over there and force and try to cap,
Ping999 would have enough time to respond to that and bring...
Right. They can get the resets. So there's not going to be a fast cap, is what it's called, or a cap fast, where you can just dump a bunch of tanks on there and win. Honestly, one of the better ways to handle it is the way High Voltage did it, which is just take a whole lot of tanks and shove them right down the 1 line and hope that the enemy is kind of spread out like Ping999 is over in this corner. This strategy, the way Ping999 is running it, is it's a good one. Simple Tankers is obviously running it, and it works quite well. Where you get into trouble is in the 1 cap situations and rotations and managing yourself. And the way Googlybobbers is moving across this courtyard right now, that is one of the best ways to handle this kind of thing. Essentially, Ping999 has given up the courtyard. It's there. It's Googlybobbers completely.
So they're just letting them go right across. They're not even going to
really
get
worried about it.
They're not going to suffer a whole lot of damage going across it, even if they suffer any at all.
No.
Is that letting them advance? Now,
yes.
Is it better to let them advance between the 1 and the 2 cap, or let them come down the 0 road?
It's better to let them advance up the 1 and 2, but they're actually going to go down the 3, and this is actually, sorry, the 0. They're actually going to go down the 3, and they're going to try and isolate Shimbo right now. Shimbo has only 1 option, is to drive away the other way, and if he does do that, it will effectively cancel out a lot of what Googlybobbers is doing. The Googlybobbers got him sandwiched between the RU-251 and the 2 IS-7s. Now he's going to run smack dab into zombie food, and the rest of Ping999 is going to have to come over here to stop this from happening.
All right, and I wonder if the ST1 is going to be the next one on the chopping block, or are they going to... It looks like they've decided to split who they're shooting at. Aldebaran is taking a couple hundred points of damage. He's about half health. Destruction Man closing in. VLM landing another 514 points. Aldebaran missing that shot on Destruction Mag. He's paying for that. He is critical. 1 more shot, and he will go down. Who is going to pick that up? And it's going to be VLM getting the last shot on Aldebaran. Sheep is now all by himself. He has no one to support him close, but looks like the Googlybobbers are going to push down the B line and continue towards that cap. Viral falls to Fluky. Fluky taking critical damage as well. Totnakis is the next. Actually, Tesla's going to come around the corner, missing that shot. He's going to soak up over 1,200 points of damage. Will they be able to finish Fluky off? And indeed, Fluky is taken out by Tesla, and the IS-7, the T-110-5, and the IS-4 finishing out Totnakis falls to VLM. And it is now a 6-3 match. Correction, a 5-3 match.
The damage is relatively equal from side to side. They both have the same amount of hit points, although Ping999 is bleeding a little bit more, and they are in an awkward position. Taco Soldier's the biggest linchpin here, as he's coming in with a fully loaded, full health 50B. He can have a huge impact, but as long as Googlybobbers can focus down the C100 and don't bounce too much, it will be in the palm of their hand. Valkyrie Vios is guaranteed to soak up 1 of the shots from Taco Soldier here. That will be enough. Googlybobbers are going to put their first point on the board any second now.
Oh, wait. Taco Soldier managing to take out Destruction Mag as well. He is going to back up to give some time to reload. Zombie Food is now reloaded. Tesla's on his way. It is 3-on-1. They are closing in on him. Zombie Food, is relatively full in health, so it's safe to say that the advantage is in favor of Googlybobbers at the moment.
Oh, definitely. Taco Soldier could possibly win over a long time. I mean, he is on defense, and he can pick up 2 kills and then go head-to-head with an IS-4. And it's an awkward battle, but it's a winnable one, especially on a map like Himmelsdorf, because Taco Soldier can come in. Now, this is a lot of hypothetical stuff right now, and it's very unlikely to happen, but if it does, I'm going to lose it. If he can take down Tesla and VLM, and then clip, and then come back and go head-to-head with Zombie Food while Zombie tries to cap, he can win the game. He's got to take out 2 players and stay alive and pull away.
All right.
And then he can reload. And Zombie Food cannot cap that by himself before Taco Soldier will reload. Now, let's say we took the caps out entirely. It is still a winnable fight for Taco Soldier. If he can strike and leave and strike and leave, he could beat the IS-4. But it's more likely the IS-4 would track him and finish him over time because he probably will not penetrate all 4 of those in the IS-4. It's a tricky thing to do. And I think basically Zombie Food will probably win in a head-to-head no matter what. But that's all fairly irrelevant as there's 10 seconds left on here. Taco Soldier looking for that shot and 1 shot out of Zombie Food immediately. There is 1 complete miss for Taco Soldier. He does hit the other one for damage, 786 on Zombie Food. 1 more shot. He extends that to 1162. Zombie Food's just going to drive right at him and force him to take those shots like he just did. And now it's only 18 seconds left on the board until Googlybobbers wins. So there's nothing Taco Soldier can do to stop it. So at this point, it is very safe to say Ping999 has lost their first match so far. Lost their first game so far, and that Googlybobbers will be tying this up 1-1.
All right. Now, is this a situation like you mentioned Zombie Food? He had a full health tank going up against the MX-50 for Taco Soldier. He willingly chose to just soak those damage because then Taco Soldier would not have been able to get cap reset.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
He can't shoot what he doesn't have. The magazine's empty.
Right.
Right.
And then it takes so long to reload such a large gun that it was like, okay, there's nothing you can do now.
So you may ask, like, why is he driving directly at him instead of just covering or something? And that's because he's closing the distance, and Taco Soldier has to shoot him. And if he doesn't, then Sovereign will definitely kill him.
All right.
Over time. I believe it was Sovereign in the IS-4. Zombie Food. 2 guys that I'm familiar with. I kind of mix up their names because it's like the one I remember. Oh, right, it's both of them. Anyways, so Zombie Food's just closing the distance so that if Taco Soldier tries to drive away, he can track him and do all that.
Okay.
And then he can possibly block him with his face and all that kind of stuff. So it's just guaranteeing that he wins. While Taco Soldier really needed to try and shoot past Zombie and clean up people off cap and then get away. So perhaps, if you want to get into nitpicking the ideals, which is virtually impossible in this situation, if he picked off both, tracks Zombie Food, picks off the other 2 guys in the back, which could potentially take 3 shots, and then drive away before Zombie Food reloads or repairs his track and closes the distance. But it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
All right. Well, I mean, that's the second time we saw the back chat in that match.
Yeah, and it actually worked out for Googlybobbers this time. Viral just dove right on an ST1, and he was able to get around to the side and get away from that frontal armor that makes it so vicious. Right. That is actually what we saw go on with the ST1 on the 1 line as well. As long as it can get its frontal armor there, it's very difficult to penetrate, unless you're getting like very square shots on it with heat mostly, in my opinion, although it depends on the tank. Okay. But if you get side shots on it, you can penetrate it fairly easily. So, if I had to compare, which would I rather have, the 4502B, the big tank that we saw there, or the ST1 in that situation, it's a toss-up. Both are very similar in the sense that from the front they're beastly and from the side they're not. So, I don't know.
So
I think just hanging him out to dry like that, he's a little bit too advanced.
Okay, but you would pick those tanks predominantly in smaller maps like corridor maps where you want to be facing them straight on and make them shoot that heavily armored plate.
Yep. That is the idea. So, we got another match starting off, so let's hop in here and check out what we have for tanks.
Absolutely, our third match. Let's see who's going to pick up this next one, or we'll just see what happens.
Ping999 with a 50B, 3 FE215Bs. Well, that's an illegal lineup, so that's going to go bad. I'm interested to see exactly what happens here. 2 IS-7s, AMX1390. Googlybobbers with 2 IS-7s, 2 E5s. A Batchat and E5, 5100. Either way, we're going to go with a DQ, so that's going to give another game to Googlybobbers. Hi. I thought we were still in game. So I'm looking down.
We're back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. We have just had a disqualification because you're only allowed to have 2 of the same tanks on any tier.
Exit the battle.
Oh.
It can't get started unless we exit the battle.
Holding everyone up.
Yeah, I mean, you're not expected to know these things yet.
Yeah.
So, Googlybobbers up 2-1. You might say that last match was effortless. Because it was. All they had to do was wait and press start, or wait for the admin to press start, and it was pretty much game over right there. So, if we can't really go back with the typical things we talk about right now, it'd be like, what went wrong there? Like, well, the lineup. They lost the lineup screen.
See, and this is actually why this is why
in this situation.
This is a really good example of it's like, hey, why don't we take a look at our tanks? Because guess what? It finally mattered.
Yeah, true. Exactly. It always matters.
Yeah,
but it mattered a lot this time. 3 FE215Bs would be vicious if we allowed them. So people are kind of debating the 2-tank rule. So far, I'm on board with it because I feel like it prevents a lot of problems.
Right.
You can get... There's definitely going to be a point where people have learned the maps well enough where they could stack a bunch of the same tank in some place, and it'll be virtually impossible to win. And I feel like the containment of tanks down to 2 of any type is at least a good attempt to combat that. And we'll see how it plays out over time. I don't think anybody could possibly know without basically testing it live in the league, and there's no way anybody to know that. So I like what we're doing here. I'm going to give my vocal support for it. And so far, it's resulted in pretty interesting, pretty quick matches for the most part.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, the one thing, like some of the key points that I've noticed throughout all the matches is focus fire is so important.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
everything.
a lot of times you get them doing that, that turret back and forth. What'd you call that?
Turret break.
Turret break. You don't know who to shoot.
Yep.
You shoot the one guy, you're getting shot in the back. And then you turn sideways, then both guys have shots on, a medium armored section of your tank. So there's really no winning once you're in that pincher section.
The best you can do is pick which tank is the most important one, which one you can't afford to have shoot you. But if they're roughly the same tank or they do roughly the same amount of damage, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just stuck. You got to back up. You got to find a way to shut that down. But I mean, it happens to everybody at some point in time, and it's the ultimate goal. So, like you said, focus fire is huge. The other thing that I've always found to be super important is track shots. If you can pin a tank in one spot, it's easier to focus on it. And that's the game right there.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead into our 4th match. Will Googly Bears pick up another win, make this 3-1? We'll see. Let's get down to our tanks.
All right, so Ping999 with a 50B, FE215B, 2 IS4s, and IS7 and 2 ST1s, Googlybobbers with 2 E100s, a Bat Chat, and then 4 tank destroyers. Why not? 2 E4s, 2 T30s. That's so much pain in one volley. It's crazy. This reminds me of like Clan Wars 2 years ago, which is pretty much all you did. It's like E100s, T30s, and then some filler tanks. But that's a vicious lineup. 6 alpha tanks and a Bat Chat. That's pretty much what we're looking at. And if they can bring all those guns to bear on anybody that is in a place where they can penetrate them, that thing will delete instantly.
This is one of those sections. This is one of those times you'd be like, oh, you come around the corner, gone.
Yeah, man. This is a perfect example. Now, if they were on defense, it's an example of many things at the same time. It's just an example of fear. Every corner you turn is your death. But it's also an example of getting under people's reloads and that kind of stuff. But that's going to be a very abstract conversation unless we have actual things to point to and be like, this is what I'm talking about.
Right.
So in the meantime, Googlybobbers is taking absolutely everything over the 0 line. Personally, I would say this is somewhat predictable. This lineup cannot necessarily play the rest of the map. So they're going to just try and force a fight. And that's going to be a fight where when they poke around a corner, a tank dies, then they back up and reload, and they just do that over and over again, which is a very old school way of doing things.
Okay.
And I'm interested to see if it still works that way or not. I think with these numbers, 7-on-7, it's certainly viable. And we've talked about the snowballing of DPM really quickly once a gun goes down. The answer to it has generally just been kind of DPM or artillery in a lot of other situations because, while that tank's reloading, you can do more damage to it with other tanks. But if only 4 of those tanks peek around a corner and shoot one, and that tank disappears, and there's still 2 tanks waiting with fully loaded guns, you can't go peeking back around that corner and lose half your hit points for, one shot with an IS-4 or whatever. So that may be kind of hard for you guys to track right now, and I don't blame you. It's even confusing for me to kind of describe it. But as it goes right now, we're about to find out how well this is going to work for Googlybobbers as they're pouring straight down. Ping999 is going to need to get their DPM on target as quickly as possible. And in fact, just a flat-out head-to-head fight is what they're looking for. Get all that terrain out of the way.
And Mufasa taking 724 points of damage on the corner of the 2-cap. Sheep and Shimba are moving up to provide them some support. They know that the Googlybobbers are coming. And we've seen this situation a few times so far. How can they exercise this a little bit differently to tip it in their favor?
Ping needs to get as many guns as possible into the A line right now to fight head-to-head and rely on DPM to win. If they play corner games, the Alpha wins. Alpha always wins standoff corner fights because you're removing the DPM aspect. If you're firing every 3 seconds and doing 300 damage, the other guy's firing every 10 seconds doing 800, but you're giving him the 10 seconds to reload, it's a 300 versus 800 shot. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So they need to close that distance and take that away from him now, or they're going to lose. Unless GoBobs really messes up. Right now, it's a little bit of a standoff, And Ping definitely looks like they're trying to close that distance. They have the right instincts here. GoBobs is giving them a little bit of room by spreading out their tanks instead of bottling them all up. Viral could go down, which is going to start tilting that in the wrong way really quickly. Googlybobbers needs their guns very, very much for this strategy to work that way. And as soon as they lose 2 tanks, it's an even bigger deal than losing the DPM tanks. Right now, Aldebaran, Mufasa, and Fluky are trying to whittle down one of these E100s. If GoBobs just steps up and volleys these tanks, they can complete one by one by one on a reload cycle, and it will get gnarly to be on the defensive side of this right now.
And it looks like Ping999 has a couple of guys in the 8th row. And there it is, Fluky getting taken out by VLM. Is this an example of what we should be seeing from these alpha tanks?
Yes, huge turret break by Tesla, driving into to make them turn their guns, giving everybody the room they need to isolate all these guns. You would have a better tank for DPM to finish off a tank like Aldebaran right now, but as long as they keep volleying the higher health tanks and taking guns out of the fight, that's all that matters, one by one by one. But I think they've done this move a little bit too slow, as the DPM has already got a huge advantage of them. The hit points are dropping here for Googlybobbers, and they simply cannot sustain this fight for as long as it's going to take. And I think they had the right idea for the strategy they were running, just a little bit too late here. And Ping holding on in a very, very scary situation. Honestly, I'm impressed.
Now, speaking of the alpha versus the DPM, now, are you saying that if they would have taken a little bit more time to land just a couple of big shots, could have completely erased 2 or 3 tanks, changed the outcome?
They need to respect the math, essentially.
So congratulations to Ping999 for picking up the second match, tying it up 2-2. What is our next map?
That's a good question. Well, we do not have that information at this point.
That's okay. So what we saw in this last match.
Oh, I'm going to point out something real quick when we get a moment.
Sure.
4.4k damage by zombie food in his T110E4 there. That's pretty vicious. It's not the highest. Nope. Executives had more.
Should be second, right?
Well, second tonight. I don't know overall.
Okay.
Hip will definitely tell me in Skype, and then I'll probably forget it by the next time we come up here because I have a terrible brain for numbers, so I just can't remember them. But it'll remind me again and again and again, and maybe it'll soak in. Some of that's a little bit of a joke and a troll at Hip because I'm sure it irritates him every time I ask him the same question over again. Anyways, it looks like the next map will be Steps, and it will be Ping999 on defense first, if my eyes are not lying to me. We were talking about the alpha DPM thing there. Once the 50B was spotted, which was kind of the more important tank for Ping, GoBobs had everything they needed. They just weren't what I referred to as respecting the math. Like, you look at these situations, and there's a feel to it that is not fun. Where you're like, I'm going to be reloading for a long time, and they're going to shoot me a lot during that. You need to look at it and have a conceptual understanding of if all 4 of us drive around this corner and fire at the same time, one of those tanks will die as long as we all hit that shot. We can absorb a certain amount of damage to make sure that happens, and you have to have it airtight. And if you don't know it, it's a hard thing to do. And in Clan Wars, it's one of the most important things that everybody learns over time is to when a battle color, when a strategy tells you to do that kind of thing, to trust them and to trust the math of it, and to get it done. And I think Googlybobbers were onto something interesting, at least for now. And I'm curious to see if anybody else will take it and refine it, or if they will refine it and come back, because it could be an incredible shock and awe demonstration.
All right. Well, that was an incredible match. One last thing I wanted to point out: we've seen some teams come over that hill, and we see the defending team shooting down the A line or the zero road, the 1 road, 1 and 3.
Yeah.
And then they also have some tanks on the F road, or one of the higher roads.
Yeah,
D
it's
road.
like D and G are the 2 crossroads.
So
trust me, it take a long time to remember.
Okay. All right. Well, we are ready for our first battle on Steps. Let's get down there and see what we have for our tanks.
For Ping999 FV215B2 Object 140 T62A ×2. 2 T54s. For Googlybobbers, we have 2 Leopard 1s, an Object 140, an STB1, 2 62As, and an AMX 1390. There's a lot of alpha on the mediums for Googlybobbers. The Leopards and the STBs have a greater alpha than the 62As and 140s. It's kind of a mix of kind of a front-load alpha situation and sustained DPM, as 62As have more consistent fire. I'm not going to go ahead and put my money down on which one has more DPM at this point in time. Once you factor in all the mods and everything, I can only do from anecdotal experience, so I'll have to check that out, or somebody can blow me up on Twitter and let me know exactly. But I'll have that squared away anytime now. Get more experience with some of these tanks in the current format, with all the perks, and that's what makes everything different. Some tanks, due to where their crews are configured, they get kind of a different effect from all the perks than others. We'll talk about that another time. Ping, pretty much set up on defense.
Well, it looks like they didn't go for the boost like some of the
No.
other teams have
And
done.
they're not biasing towards the one cap. It's only 2 T-54s there, so it's not their major concern. They're far more concerned about the southeast. The Sheep is in a great position to ruin anybody who goes over here. Looks like Googlybobbers is also exploring the option to go southeast, but they're doing it in a very cautious way that makes me believe they will very shortly decide to go elsewhere, probably up the middle road, blocking out the A5, A6 area, and putting other people on cap. Would be a nice move to make at this point in time. Just whether they're going to get the intelligence to do it, or, hey, if you can sneak off some more shots on Sheep like that, there's no reason not to. Luck taking one shot in return, and Ping mostly resolute in where they're going to be on defense right now.
All right, and it looks like Ping is actually starting to move some of their tanks back up with their T-54s at the 1 cap. While Googlybobbers seem to be really taking their time. Looks like they may have changed their mind as well and be heading towards that 1 cap.
Yep, and that's exactly what they were kind of setting out to do to begin with. They were just probing it, seeing what the water felt like. It was too hot for them, so they decided they're going to roll up the middle road, start biasing themselves towards the A5, A6 area like we were talking about. Ping's ahead of them, though. Ping sees this coming. They started readjusting themselves. Some people may look at this and wonder, how would Ping know? They didn't have to see anybody. That doesn't matter. All they know is they've been sitting in the southeast for a while. They exchanged a shot or two, and then they didn't see anybody for a while. So it's a very easy assumption to make that Googlybobbers would be going to the north. You can get into a kind of a second-level meta when you show your tanks, you take them away, and then you put them back right where they were before. Messes with people's heads. But on a map like this, it's not. I would have seen Sheep as well and just kind of been discouraged from going there. Fluky taking a lot of damage. That could come back to haunt Ping in the long run. But so far, not the biggest deal. Both teams roughly in the same bracket for HP, about a 400 lead for Googlybobbers. Viral getting some interesting angles.
And he's up in the that same section.
It's a very standard one.
Yeah.
Arclit was there earlier in the Object 268.
Now, I haven't seen the Leopard 1 yet.
We'll get a little bit of a close look at it. It's German medium, tier 10 medium. It's a pretty great tank all around. It was for a long time kind of the flavor for a lot of people, as it's a pretty great tank all around. It's got, I wouldn't say reliable armor, but it's got pretty good armor for medium. So in public matches in particular, the DPM, the armor, all that configuration makes it a pretty boss tank.
We do have Googlybobbers pushing up on Ping999. Tot knock us down to half health on the south side of the map. Zombie Food taking some shots from Aldebrand. He's down to a little over half health now, and Ping999 is starting to pull back because it looks like there's really no benefit in engaging there, is there?
No, they're on defense. They took quite a bit of damage on Tontanakis there, and they weren't in the better positions. That's probably a scouting run on their part to see if they can get underneath, but we'll come back to that as Fluky and Taco Soldier are trying to make a run on Destruction Mag, but doesn't look like they're going to do it. Thank you.
So, just the feel of this match, it seems like both teams are doing a little bit of hit and run instead of just throwing themselves at the enemy team.
Yeah, and that's I've always kind of referred to it as brinkmanship. But in the meantime, Googlybobbers are going to try and come up and over the hill here. And at the railroads, and pick off these 254s. They are caught out alone. Ping is rotating a little bit too much. Googlybobbers trying to pull them side to side to get that pick. They do pick up Fluky. Taco Soldier very likely will not escape here, as all these mediums are going to come barreling down the railroad. Ping only has one real option, is to come over here and try and support this or get more damage on everybody as they're barreling down on Taco Soldier. But it is getting very close for Ping, as they are losing a lot of hit points very soon. There's a lot of guns out of the fight, and it is a 7-on-5 now.
Taco Soldier gets taken down by 7 Tesla. 3 tanks pushing up that north side, pretty much untouched. They didn't take a whole lot of destruction. Mang took a little bit on the way, but now Ping999 is, they're fairly set, but they're tucked up in the north corner, up where they started.
Yes, indeed. They're in an overmatched fight already. Shimbo all alone. Honestly, we could hype this up as much as possible. The only thing that Ping999 here can do is make a statement that even when they're outnumbered, they'll still take tanks with them. So that's their best goal, trying to take out Luck right now. Either way, they will go down very shortly here. That HP differential is just too much to make up. All these mediums will pound them into the ground very shortly. Shimbo running away. He is one-shot Sheep, taking a lot of damage. They're repulsing Viral, who is backing off in his Leopard 1. Valkyrie Rios right there as well. Aldebaran is going to go ham, trying to pick him up. Luck and Viral and Valkyrie all trying to back him up. Tesla and Destruction Man coming to clean that out. Aldebaran will go down any moment now. Shimbo poking back up for one quick shot. VLM may pick him up here in the 1390. Will he live the dream? Will he get it? Oh, a solid contact ramp. I'm actually surprised he didn't take that much more damage from it. If that had been a Leopard 1, that would have been a boatload on that 1390, but apparently 62A didn't get a good amount of contact on him. Mufasa running away. There's not a whole lot left for him here. And that will be
the third victory for the Googlybobbers. I keep calling them the Googlybobbers. Bobbers.
Yeah, it's not a bad name.
Yeah,
Maybe they
but
should call themselves that.
Yeah, congratulations on the first win on steps.
Yep.
That
Up 3-2.
Yeah, the one thing that like I mentioned it, while the match is going on, a lot of the times we see everyone just either get in a nice tight group and go over and just swarm.
Yep.
And then pick off a couple tanks and then just continue that down the line.
Yep.
But this time we saw both teams just kind of feeling it out, getting some shots, and be like, oh no, we don't want to engage here.
Yeah, those are the two most common types of fights you have. Mm-hmm. It's either just a mess where everybody meets, mm-hmm. and often the team, if everybody doesn't have hard cover, right? Often the team that gets the first focus fire will win. Mm-hmm. But you can kind of think of it as a school of fish.
Okay.
They kind of turn in on themselves, kind of a toroidal thing as they move across. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about, but as you move in, a lot of the tanks on the outside will take the most damage.
Okay.
And then they can fold into the middle as the middle tanks fold around the outside, and you've essentially switched out who is where. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're trading hit points back and forth, and it's easier shown than discussed. But if you do that, you can be the introductory team and still win, because you have actually now fired on one target. If everybody else is spread out, the team that takes the first action can win in that instance. Okay. But what happens most of the time is the defending team is kind of stood off. They have some positions where they can't necessarily get focused or shot. Mm-hmm. And then the team that attacks first is usually the one that loses. But it's not always that clear cut. And in that instance, it was pretty much over because it was 5-on-7 anyways.
Right. That was yet again another one of the situations. It was like, okay, there's nothing you can do. They had plenty of healthy tanks, and it was all right.
But typically,
take some with you.
Typically, Googlybobbers, the way they attacked in that situation, that's about as best of a situation as you can get. But Ping's positions, there's a lot of places they can go where they can't really get focused and they can't really take damage. So if it weren't for the gap in tanks, the 5 versus 7, then Ping very likely would have pulled that out, even though Googlybobbers was assaulting it as best as possible. But Googlybobbers waited until they had that advantage. Otherwise, they probably would not have done it.
Awesome. So we haven't seen a whole lot of Artie today.
No. Honestly, in the higher tiers, artillery, it takes a very long time to reload. Mm-hmm. And as the leagues progress, different formats, different tiers, and kind of the DPM, you have to factor that in. And you look at it and you say, he may hit somebody really hard, but then he's down for 30 seconds. And if he misses, we pretty much lose.
All right. Well, we've switched sides. The Googlybobbers are up 3-2. Ping is now on the attack. Can they pull out a 3-3? Let's get down there and see what we have for our tanks.
Ping on offense with an FE215B, 2 Object 140s, an STB-1, 2 T62As, and a WZ-132. That's interesting. Not a Tier 8 light that I would have expected to have seen. See how it plays. Googlybobbers with an IS-7 and E5, a Bat Chat, 2 Object 140s, an STB-1, and an RU-251. I think, if I remember correctly, I've been trying to switch gears in this Tier 10. I believe if the two of those meet head-to-head, the WZ-132 and the RU-251. Now, it depends on which gun the WC has, but if they meet completely in the open, I'm fairly certain the RU-251 will win 9 times out of 10. But unlikely that we're actually going to see a scout fight. Nobody likes to let me live my dream. Honestly, that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see at least one match where it's just 7-on-7. Everybody just has 1v1s, one after another, and the rest of their team sits around in a circle screaming, Thunderdome, Thunderdome.
Reaper.
WZ-132 Reaper taking a lot of damage to start it off.
And it doesn't look like he got... Actually, he did get quite a few scouting out on there.
Yeah, he spotted 3-4 people right there. But is that worth the amount of hit points he lost? I'm going to go with no, because right now, I mean, you pretty much already know that Googlybobbers is going to be there.
Right.
So you spotted them. They're mostly mediums. They could be anywhere now. So you pretty much just lost hit points for nothing. What Ping was trying to go for was not spotting, but damage. They wanted to spot somebody in a position to fire, and they had them all ready in a firing line, but they did not connect the way they wanted to.
Right. All right. Well, Googlybobbers are over at their 2-cap. The RU-251 is starting to scout across the middle of the map to see if he can pick up any of Ping999. Googlybobbers are starting to go back behind the dunes of the 2-cap, expecting Ping999 to come around and just work their way in.
Yeah, Googlybobbers. They are perhaps expecting Ping999 to do that. That's not a bad statement whatsoever, but I'm going to add another reason why they might be doing it.
Okay.
They might be doing it because they want to flank Ping999. It's not likely that Ping is going to push directly into the eastern side.
Okay.
Very few people think that way. It's not a good idea, right?
Is that why I always die?
Yeah, a lot of people. Not always. It's difficult. People can drive into the east, and I could look at positions and tell you it's going to be one thing, and it'd end up the other thing. It's the nature of the beast, even more at tier 10.
And we actually
But if Googlybobbers gets containment on Ping before they rotate, now, like you said, if Ping tries to rotate, they'll just fall into waiting arms. Googlybobbers, either way, their main goal here is map control, and they've eaten up a ton of it.
Well, it looks like you might get to see your light scout battle. Maybe not. Maybe
Nope.
not. Zombie food
Zombie
actually
food.
getting taken out by sheep. I actually did not even see that
Dude,
one.
I
Not
don't know.
gonna lie.
I'm speechless as well. It looks like Zombie Food must have gotten tracked, poking there. Reaper did spot him. And then the rest of the team, Ping999, just lit him up. There's no way he got away. Either he was too high on the hill to drive away or he got tracked, something along those lines, because that's a big loss. Zombie Food is not only an important tank in this, but he's a great player. He's arguably one of the best on Googlybobbers. Valkyrie Viewus, another person I would put up for a candidacy in that kind of situation, getting taken down to half. Although he's an RU-251, he's a little bit more expendable. But now that they're already down one, not that this is ever the case, but there is never an expendable tank once you're already missing one for sure. Even less so than usual. Sheep trying to get a little bit of movement here on VLM and Luck. It's not really getting a lot of it, but you can see. So Googlybobbers tried to contain Ping999 with that kind of concave format they had there, that formation, and it went completely backwards. It just gave Ping a free tank, and now Ping is taking up that map control. So I'm wondering, if Googlybobbers recognizes they're now down a tank and they need to make a big move, they recognize there was a lot spread over in the west, they are making a little bit of movement here in the east side, they may be deciding they're going to take control of this fight. They're going to drive right down the 0 line and into these waiting mediums and heavy and try and equalize this by taking out a tank of their own.
Now, since Ping is on attack, they now have their forces split on both sides of the map with, Tatanakis and Reaper pushing up the middle towards the 1-cap. It looks like Valkyrie Viewus is going to intercept them, but how effective is going to be splitting their forces right now?
But it's a huge risk as Googlybobbers are trying to pick up Fluky. Sheep is actually the one who is most exposed, but the rest of Ping999, in particular Fluky and Aldebaran, they maybe saw this coming, but they are driving out of that. Fluky will definitely not go down. Aldebaran, perhaps, he's trying to do a little bit more damage to support these guys. Fluky will help him out as well. Sheep is the one that's most at risk. Valkyrie Viewus was just out there for spotting. He is now caught by the rest of Ping999. Sheep going down real quickly, and it's going to be up to these 3 mediums from Googlybobbers to clear out 2 tanks without losing too much, while the rest of the team tries to pull back and buy more time. Ping999 could simply put everybody on cap. That is exactly what they're doing. They see the moment they need to take. 20 seconds left on there. Ping999 showing great instinct trying to collapse this. They are losing the tank-on-tank fight slowly but surely, but they probably will cap this out in time. Picking up Valkyrie Viewus was huge. Picking up the STB-1 is just as good. And now it's a small fight here in the southeast and a big fight in the north. T110, E5, Luck, and VLM and the IS-7 are the only thing that stands between Ping and a victory as 5 seconds are trickling down. It's cap 5, 4, 3, 2. Luck's got to hit this shot. He will have 1 chance at it. And no, he won't make that connection. And boom. Ping evening this match up. 3-3 with Googlybobbers.
They do not want to go down.
Blow for blow. Man,
Blow
if they
for
hadn't had
blow.
that DQ, they might be up 2 games now.
So
Nice.
splitting their forces right there was, you said it was a risky call, but it looked like it's exactly what they needed to do.
It was risky, but they did it the way they're supposed to. A lot of teams, well, supposed to. This is another one of the complicated situations that I'm just going to simplify. So I'm definitely going to say something wrong in this, but whatever. This is how it works most of the time. So when you take up that map control, a lot of teams want to keep it while they take more. The problem is if your opponent is leaving an area, they're probably not just going to go sit there and cry and be like, oh, they took it from us. Right. They're probably going to go someplace else. So Ping very wisely decided to pull from the south while pushing in the north, because all they cared about was taking that one cap, and it worked for them. So meanwhile, while Googlybobbers were taking the south, they were pulling away from it. They sacrificed one tank. They gave up a little bit of territory, but essentially all they did was just pivot the line to a different example or a different angle, and now the one cap is firmly behind that line, and that's all they need to take it to victory. So honestly, some great stuff coming out of Ping. They do a lot of this exactly how you're supposed to do it.
All right. Well, I mean, it looked like whenever they split on the south side, they forced the Googlybobbers to commit certain tanks to that fight, and that opened up that entire north. Is that what you're trying to? Was that what you were telling me?
That's a little bit of a chicken and the egg thing.
Right.
It happened.
Right.
Now, whether it was Googlybobbers going for it and Ping denying it, or Ping making the Googlybobbers come to them, it's both.
Okay.
And
so
there's a lot of different ways you could look at it. But either way, it certainly happened and it worked out for Ping.
All right. So it was the chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
All right. Great.
Sure.
Okay. So
why not both?
was there anything else that kind of stood out in that fight? I thought that the scouting tanks did an incredible job. Like they were just darting bush to bush.
Yeah.
Not getting spotted. They were doing fantastic.
The RU-251 in particular.
Yeah.
He was dead center of the field. Nobody knew he was there. That was pretty great.
All right. Well, let's go and get into the next match. It is tied 3-3. Let's get down there and see what we have for our tanks.
For Ping999, we have done it again. It's backwards. For Ping999, we have a Batchat, 2 Object 140s, an STB, S262As, and a WZ132. For Googlybobbers, we have 2 Leopard 1s, an Object 140, 1 STB, and 2 62As, and an AMX 1390.
All right. So it looks like Ping999 is red this time.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay,
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So that would be Googlybobbers in blue, as they have been most of the time. Googlybobbers will be taking up the west side of the map. Looks like they're going to focus themselves on the one cap with 1390 here to scout the middle. Ping999 doing the same thing they did last time on defense, just scouting out the eastern side, making sure they have all that under control. They're going to coax Googlybobbers into the one area now. I would hope for Ping999 they have a plan if that happens. We've seen so far that one area is a little bit stronger than it used to be at tier 10. And Googlybobbers are going to have to... Ooh, already getting a little bit of action here. Actually, Viral's just trying to pop off a blind fire as he was spotted by Reaper. And there's only a few angles that can happen. Let's check out where Reaper is, because that is... that's interesting. Did get that spot. And he hasn't been spotted back. Could he possibly be completely bushed up in this situation? That would be incredible.
Are you talking the situation where he just can't be seen with the camouflage?
Yeah, and it's the angles and the camouflage rating, all sorts of stuff. He wouldn't be able to be seen from normal places, I guess the best way to put it. Well, perhaps that's the reason for the WZ132. Perhaps its camo rating is the best in this situation, along with its profiles. They're a combination of things. But here is what happens in this situation. Destruction Mang understands how spotting works. And that's pretty common at this point in time. So he poked around, he got spotted, he realized there's only one angle he could be getting spotted from that consistently. But he has taken some damage from a Batchat in the side. This is actually a Wombo combo working out perfectly for Ping999, exactly how they wanted it to be, but Reaper got lit from that angle. Viral probably caught him from above. 266 on Reaper as he starts to go down.
And Destruction Mang is critically low, and he gets taken out by Shimbo from across the map.
That's incredible. Sheep and Shimbo hitting him from both sides, being spotted by Reaper. Reaper will finally go down, but that's a tier 8 for a tier 10. I think anybody would take that any day of the week. Right now, Googlybobbers still has a slight lead with 1,100 hit points, but the position and the side, or sorry, that's Ping999 has a slight lead over Googlybobbers with position and defense here. So Googlybobbers are going to have to find their route in here. Most of Ping is underneath on the south side. So, as you can see, just like last time, while they are taking up control into the south, they are swinging away from the east because they know Googlybobbers will be coming for them. Googlybobbers technically not doing anything wrong here, but they're trying to get that fight, and they should be trying to take what they've been given, lock out Ping999 from coming back and taking that cap from while they apply that cap pressure, but nobody really likes to do that. Most teams, you may see them do it, most teams prefer the fight. And in this instance, Googlybobbers are going hard for it. They may catch Fluky, which may be what they need to collapse and win this, but Ping starting to rotate back, trying to bring their guns into the fight. A Batchat's going to go up the middle, try and get good angles. Fluky does go down to the STB. That is a huge loss for Ping right now, as Googlybobbers are now in the lead by 600 hit points.
And it is a 6-5 fight.
And
So,
Googlybobbers
starting to put some pressure on Cap. They are going to push all the way through the Cap to continue this fight. They don't want any of the Cap right now. They want to kill some tanks. And Luck taking 589 points of damage from Aldebaran. He actually takes over 1,000 points of damage in his T62 from poking out behind that rock. Valkyrie Views is receiving some damage. He's getting focused by Ping999, and he's a little under half health now. VLM taken out by Sheep. And the back chat is starting to circle around, hoping to flank the Googlybobbers on the 2-cap.
Googlybobbers, they have plenty of angles here. They have everything they need. They're going to pick up Sheep in just a moment. They're going to just delay with Luck and Tesla, grab Tontonakis when he comes for them. This should be relatively easy for Googlybobbers to clean out, but there are... Ping's not going to lay down here. They are going to come take the fight to them. This is an incredibly gutsy call, and they could make it work for them, as Valkyrie VOS and Luck are both low. And if they can take those two out in sequential order, Ping999 will stand a chance to bring this back when Googlybobbers looked like they had everything they needed to take this home.
Absolutely, and even though they are on the Cap, they are there to fight. Luck is one hit away. Valkyrie VOS going down to Shimbo, and in return, he receives a couple hundred points of damage. And they are getting... Actually, they managed to take out Shimbo, so there's the one guy behind them. So Shimbo is now going over the hill.
It's a little bit of a tricky situation. It looks like it's a large hill, or like he has to go over it, but he's actually firing around the outside. He is getting shots into that angle. Luck is behind a wreck, which is why he hasn't gone down. If we're confused on that, it's hard to see from here. Unfortunately, we can't show you the first person, and if we did, it would be difficult to tell what's going on anyways. Tesla getting shots on Tontonakis. Tontonakis does have him isolated between Shin and Shimbo. He will go down. Luck trying to repel them and keep his pressure on Cap, but this is slowly slipping away from Googlybobbers.
Absolutely, Luck, even though he's protected by his friendly tank, and he will go down by Tontonakis. It is a 4-2 fight. Looks like taking that aggressive posture towards the Googlybobbers really worked out for them this time.
It certainly did. Viral, maybe getting a pick on Tontonakis.
Zombie Food, will he be able to finish off Shimbo, or Shimbo finish him off?
It's a
They're
tricky
both down to
situation for both
about
teams.
one hit. It could go either way. Still, Viral taken out by Tontonakis. Tontonakis is one hit away. Zombie Food in the Object 140. Other than Mufasa, the other two tanks are essentially a one-shot for that tank, right?
Absolutely. Pretty much everybody here is one shot aside from Mufasa. And Zombie Food, while he is a great player, he is going to have to go one-to-one with a Mufasa who has more hit points. Nice pickup on Tontonakis. Now, Tontonakis probably playing a little bit lax at this point, knowing full well that match is in their hands. Ping showing incredible resilience, and I'm just continually impressed with their gameplay, especially considering how new they are to the league.
Absolutely. Congratulations. That takes it to a 4-3 lead for Ping.
One more, and they've been killing it
One
on steps
more.
so far.
All right. So, that match, we saw yet another strategy that I haven't seen played, this season, or even, a whole lot last season. They
kind of pulling, kiting, essentially, kind of pulling Go-Bobs around into that kind of situation. And Googlybobbers, they got pulled too far. They got pulled all the way over to the 2-cap. The 2-cap is not a good one to be on while capping, unfortunately. And what I mean by that is it depends on how many tanks are around, because it's essentially in a bowl. So there's a lot of different positions where people can poke up and fire down into the bowl where you are. So you've given up a lot of map control, a lot of positions, because everybody's in a clump, and your opponent can come in spread. So they can pick at you from a bunch of different angles and break your turrets.
Okay.
It's a big problem. The 1-cap is much easier,
Right.
because you can take the ridges that surround it, and everybody who comes at you has to come over basically over fields or trenches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a much better place to be, in my opinion. But Googlybobbers are basically just trying to start the fight.
Okay.
And Ping is showing a lot of skill at dragging Googlybobbers around and rotating and knowing when tanks are coming for them without actually seeing them. It's a feel thing, and it's an experience thing, and it almost looks like they've been playing the Gold League longer than they have been.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly looks like they adapt to the field very well. But, in the situation where they moved all the way off the 1-cap, could that have been a situation they could have just stacked there because there wasn't a whole lot of tanks around
Yes.
to get them? I mean, it looked like a great opportunity, but it was like, okay, they want to go fight instead.
Essentially exactly what Ping did to Googlybobbers when they were on offense, and that happened. Googly tried to come on the other side. Ping took the cap from them and then just sat on it
All right.
and kind of pushed a couple tanks to screen. You can actually send those tanks into suicide, flat out. Just go straight at the enemy, and all you have to do is tie them up because the other people will cap. As long as you tie it for 30 seconds, it's a win. But you gotta have vision on a lot more tanks to be able to make that call
All right.
securely.
Well, let's get down to the last match on steps. It is 4 versus 3 in favor of Ping999. Can they pick up the 5th win and close this out? Let's get down there and see what we have for our tanks.
Ping999 with 2 bat chats, an Object 140, 262 As, 2 T54s, Googlybobbers with an IS-7 and E5, a bat chat, 2 Object 140s, an STB, and an RU-251.
Now,
Ping.
since Ping is on the attack here, you know, they have... Do you think this is going to be a slower played game? Or, I mean, they've been doing an excellent job kiting, and it seems like they have a very good sense of the pace of the battle whenever it's going on.
Yes, they definitely like these rotational-based battles. And so far, honestly, they've played steps relatively the same way, whether they're on offense or defense. They're just trying to get Googlybobbers rotating, and they're expecting to be better at this game than them in terms of the rotational game. Now, right now, if they can get Googlybobbers rotating, it'll be a dream situation for them. With the E5 and the IS-7 out there for Googlybobbers, those heavies cannot keep up with the mediums. So if they can get everybody rotating like that, they will capitalize on it. But it looks like Googlybobbers is actually bringing those heavies in order to kind of shut down that type of play.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's going to work for them, though.
So this is one of those maps where speed is definitely to your advantage.
Traditionally, absolutely. And, you know, in previous seasons, aside from essentially last season and the season before that, but all the way back, actually, we'll put that on pause, as Sheep takes nearly 900 damage in one volley from Googlybobbers. You can't really afford that on your bat chat. Whole point for the bat chat or a lot of these autoloaders is to get all those shots out. And if he's not alive long enough to do that, he's not
He's
no longer
wasting
effective.
he's wasting his DPM.
Absolutely.
All right. So it looks like both teams are starting to get settled into their positions, you know, hiding behind the dunes and the hills, waiting for a spot. Valkyrie is in an excellent spot in his RU-251 for scouting. And Tottenhakis did take a little bit of damage earlier by, you know, getting a little too curious. But, you know, as we've seen before, you know, Ping999 has decided to, you know, split their forces once again to, you know, force the Googlybobbers into pulling them.
Yeah, and right now Tottenhakis is doing a little bit of exploratory expositional movement, and he could get spotted by Valkyrie Viewis doing what he's doing. So far, Ping999 has shown a lot of wherewithal, a lot of knowledge on this, and if they understand the angles here, which, like I'm saying, I think they do, when Valkyrie spots somebody, there's a good chance he's going to take a lot of damage. There's a lot of people there who can hit him. It's a very standard position. It's a good one, and it's tempting to use, but against certain teams, it's basically giving away a tank, or at least hit points on a tank. It's a tricky, like I keep saying, tricky situation, but it's a tough decision to make because you need it, you want that vision, but it's a huge risk to do it. So it's sort of just an acceptable loss, I guess, at that point.
All right, well, it looks like Ping999 is starting that, you know, that circle rotation on the map. They're moving the majority of the forces back over towards the 1 cap, and you know, for the Googlybobbers, all they have to do is, you know, on defense, sit there and wait.
Yeah.
Because they have the advantage. You know, the 2 cap right now, you know, they have the positions. They have someone, you know, up in the hills, you know, Viral's up in the hills in the STB1. And, you know, there's not a whole lot they can do towards that 2 cap. So are they going to, you know, as we've seen, they're going to try, you know, get on the other side of these tracks, you know, maybe get up in the hills.
Yep. Right now, Googlybobbers has essentially figured out what Ping999 has been doing to them, getting them to rotate, dragging them out. Now, Googlybobbers probably saw this early. They just thought that they could handle it.
Right.
And for one reason or another, they couldn't. That doesn't mean they always can't. Just they couldn't tonight. Something was going wrong for them. So Googlybobbers decided, scrap all that. I don't want to do that anymore. Let's bring the heavies. Let's slow this down. Let's make them play this on a more standard front. And they can rotate all over the place and waste as much time as they want. They're on offense. They need that time. We don't.
Right.
Googlybobbers not getting baited about this anymore. It's really on Ping to take out Valkyrie Viewis, which will open up their options. But they've spent a lot of time trying to play this rotational game. and it could come back to haunt them a little bit here. So far, it's hard to say exactly who is in the, well, not who's in the advantage. That's Googlybobbers. But who will pull this out? So far, we had no real intelligence, no real inkling of what Ping is going to do in this situation. All I can say is they're now down 2,000 hit points already, and 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes.
All right,
so
Shimbo,
slipping away, looking at a
gets
tiebreaker.
spotted over on the north section while the rest of his team is down near the 1 cap. And just earlier, the majority of Ping were blind firing into one of the bushes over by the railroad tracks, assuming that they could be scouting there. May as well just throw a couple shells in there, see if we kill their scout.
Yep, pretty much.
All right,
Happens all the time.
And a couple of shots go off at Shimbo. He is going to go back down the railroad tracks towards the 1. And the Googlybobbers are just being extremely patient. Most of their tanks haven't really moved. They're just like, okay, we know about where they're going. We're not going to play this game with you guys.
Yeah.
So they're waiting for the time for where Ping has to make a stand, and then they're gonna come in.
Here we go, Valkyrie. Whether he was spotted or not, taking one shot. He's showing some discipline there, not going anywhere. But if Ping noticed that their tank there, or that their shell did not go all the way through the tracer, that's what the word I'm looking for, did not go all the way through that bush, then they'll know Valkyrie Views is there. But either way, they're about to proxy spot him using Tantanagas. Tantanagas making Valkyrie run away. Valkyrie's just barely on the edge of his proxy and does not get spotted on the way out. Still hasn't been spotted by the 62As. Great job, buddy. You will not be in Valhalla tonight yet, but you're certainly earning your place one game at a time. That's crazy. I haven't seen scouting like that in a while.
I know. That's what I was saying. Like earlier in the matches, like he was so close, and just the angles and this comes down to experience in your tank, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Experience in the game. Scouts are, I'm biased. I love scouts. Scouts are one of the hardest types of tanks to play. But we'll get to that here in a minute. VLM taking a boatload of damage. I'm not entirely sure why Googlybobbers are overplaying their hand at this point in time, but VLM basically just dying. And I have no idea why. Valkyrie View stepping back up to try and do some sort of damage here. Again, I guess trying to get free shots on Tantanagas, but they're giving up free shots against Shimbo. The rest of Googlybobbers just not wanting to wait anymore. I guess they're going to step up and just make this fight happen, but they were in perfect position to send us to a tiebreaker. I am not entirely sure what happened here.
Absolutely, and Mufasa taking 1,100 points of damage. He is probably the main target for the Googlybobbers right now, while Ping999 moves out of the cap, going to finish this off. They are looking for blood. They aren't after the cap. They want to end this now.
Absolutely, trying to close in on it. This is the moment they have. They only have a minute left. They cannot cap in time, more or less, unless they get all the way back there. But Luck gonna go down relatively soon here. Tantanagas being picked up by Zombie Food. Luck finally going down to Mufasa. The rest of Ping999 trying to find their next target here, Zombie Food. While he looks good, he is reloading. He's not the best target you want. That is great news for Googlybobbers. They will start picking off tanks one by one. They are already down 3-5. They need to get another pickup here. But Destruction Man goes down, leaving it 2 on the rest, and it is going real bad for Googlybobbers here. Slipping away one tank at a time. Tesla will be next. Viral after that. And I don't know what happened here, but what looked like a guaranteed tiebreaker to me turned into Googlybobbers losing this match set 5-3.
I wouldn't throw that. I mean, if Viral can survive for 14 more seconds.
Hey man, I'm gonna call it the way I see it, and if Viral brings it back and makes me eat my words, I will delightfully take them.
And Viral taking out Mufasa, still on the run. He's got to face Sheep, who's gonna reload before him. And both of them die at the exact same time.
Yes.
What a way to end that match. Ping999 picking up the fifth point. That was a great way to end that match.
Who doesn't love ram kills, especially to round out an entire match set for an entire night? Thank you for that. It was great. Hopefully one of us got it on camera so we can throw that in the highlight reel, because that is certainly deserving, and I want to encourage more of that.
Absolutely. So what we saw in this last match was the Googlybobbers really just being confident and saying, hey, we're here. We know that you guys are just going to try to make us chase you.
And it was working.
Yeah.
And then they abandoned it, and I don't know why. I'm gonna have to ask him for it. Perhaps one of them, absolutely had to go. He's like, my dog just ate something. I have to take him to the ER. So let's go big or go home. Who knows? And weird stuff like that does happen. And from our perspective, it's just like a lot of people like to assume they just don't know what they're doing. I assure you, they probably do. They probably had a reason, and we'll find out what that was. But that was unexpected.
All right. Well, I'm certainly not going to lie to you, but let's go ahead and take a quick recap over all of the matches tonight.
Sure.
I mean, we had, High Voltage, winning over the Simple Tankers. That was, it came down to a tiebreaker, just like the very first match of Tuesday.
Oh man, so many great matches, and I almost forgot. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and that was actually the one that you were most excited to watch.
Yeah. And it delivered.
All right, and then the next one we had Noble taking a 5-0 sweep against Yo.
Yep.
But it's okay. It's still early in the season.
Yep.
Not a terrible way to start, and that's vital experience.
At least once.
And
You could lose.
Yes.
You could lose to much more embarrassing teams than Noble. I promise you.
All right, and then we had the Color Warner versus Aquatic M60s, where the Aquatic M60s were the winners.
Sure. Yes.
I believe
Yes.
that's right.
Yeah, because
And
there's a face-off of essentially TBD versus
Yes.
Color Wanted before.
Yes, and
Aquatic
then finally,
M60's showing up big time tonight.
Finally, Ping999
versus Googlybobbers.
ends with a ram. Both tanks die. I mean, what an incredible way to close out that set.
Yep.
All right. Well, on behalf of everyone here at WGL, this is David Williams. I'm Quinn Sharrow. It's been a shell of a time.